Today we're going to go over financial planning with the specific intent of looking at the traditional method. In other words, you're looking at how much money you can make off your enterprises. Usually that is figured by having your income minus your expenses. That equals your profit. But what we're trying to do now is to change that paradigm. So we're going to look at income minus profit equals expenses. In other words, we need you to decide what profit you're wanting to make off of your farm and off of your associated enterprises. And to control that profit level, we're going to look at the expenses that you have and how we can effectively reduce them to meet your goals of profit. Today we're going to talk about your financial planning for your farm enterprise. We're going to look at profit-oriented versus production-oriented. Under financial planning, these are the 10 questions or areas that we're going to look at today for your financial planning exercise. Traditionally, looking at profit was a factor of income minus expenses, and then that equaled your profit. However, today is that we're going to turn some of that around, and we're going to look at income minus your profit equals the expenses. In this manner, you are looking at the income you are making and then deciding what profit from that would you like to make. This requires you then to control your expenses to meet those profit projections. Here are just some of the expenses you can look at. The wealth-generating expenses, those are the ones that are associated with your enterprises and all the things and the costs that go into your enterprise functioning. The maintenance of equipment and buildings and those sorts of things that you have to do to maintain the operation of your enterprise. And the inescapable things such as taxes. So let's start out by assessing last year's across the whole farm within enterprise progress towards your goals. We will need to look at what are your log jams. In other words, what things are holding you back from making the profit that you would like to make, and what adverse factors are affecting your farming enterprise. So under step 1, looking back on all the past year across your whole farm, were there any major limiting factors preventing your farm from reaching its economic, environmental, and quality of life objectives? You need to write those down. And can you identify the solutions to these? Have you got an idea how you can fix them? And how much do they cost? So let's state that another way. Is there anything keeping us from making significant progress towards our goals? If so, give that top priority for your time and your money. Once you can eliminate this, you will increase your profit and be successful. So let's do an exercise. We'll call this exercise 1. There'll be numerous of them in this class. Take a minute or two and write down the log jams or the adverse factors that are affecting your farm last year. Get with your planning team and brainstorm solutions to these obstacles. Estimate the cost of these solutions and when they will be incurred, whether they're monthly or yearly, and whether you actually have the funds to take the money and fix the logjam. Then enter the name of the costs on the worksheet and then put the costs in the appropriate month. While you're doing this brainstorming session, maybe you should then take the time with your team to test potential new enterprises. Maybe the enterprise you're doing now isn't the best enterprise, and over time, maybe there has become a new enterprise which will give you more profit. Here, once again, let's brainstorm the new enterprises. Do the customer surveys, see what new trends are emerging in your area or in your markets, analyze the new market outlets, and can you add value or new product lines? Adding value to things like selling chicken by pieces versus chicken as a whole means that you make a greater profit off of that one product. And use financial analysis tools to assess your viability. As you conduct your brainstorming, be sure to write down the potential new enterprises, or the products or services, and the markets that they're associated with. Once you've captured this data, let's assess your net worth. So we'll have a benchmark as we start out with this new enterprise or these new products or new markets to know exactly where you're at. That way we can analyze whether the new enterprise or markets has an effect on increasing your profits. List your assets, your cows, your hay, your equipment, your land, your housing, and the cash that you may have in savings against your liabilities. Bank loans, credit cards, operating expenses, those types of loans. And then take those assets and subtract the liabilities from your assets, and this will give you the net worth. Here are some ways listed that you can increase your net worth. You can get new equipment, increase your livestock that you have on your farm, buy new land, or just increase your supplies and inventory. You can also have, due to increased cash flow, put more cash on hand or into savings, or decrease your liabilities. If your debt goes down, your cash flow goes up, meaning you have a greater net worth. Once again, let's capture on a piece of paper your assets and liabilities and do the exercise to find out where you are right now with your net worth. At this point, you need to ask yourself, what are the enterprises that will generate income for your farm? How do you choose an enterprise? Does it support your goals? Can you go through a gross profit analysis to see if it is a good decision to go into that enterprise? And what is the budget you have to put into an enterprise? Does this match your dreams or match your infrastructure and resources that you already have available? And last of all, what is your passion and what skills can you put into this new enterprise? Here is how we plan your income. For each enterprise, project income based on the past history or appropriate estimates. Do not assume that 100% of your product will sell. And have caution, do not use best salary year data as the norm. We want to do something somewhere in the middle. And you may want to compose a plan for best, average, and worst year income figures. And will any off-farm income be used? If you're retired or if you have a payment from Social Security for a disability, will some of this income be used to finance the farm and a new enterprise? Now, under each appropriate month, write down the income you expect to receive by enterprise. You've just finished planning your income. Now, from that income, let's figure out how much profit you want to make on the income you're bringing into your farm. This profit needs to cover such things as your family needs. You need to put some in savings every month. You need to reinvest some into the farm and reduce debt. And ultimately, you want to improve your quality of life. Now, we need to sort and plan expenses. Under the new formula, where income minus a profit you need or you want equals expenses, we have to figure out what those expenses are and find out whether they are too large or if there's areas that we can cut. By sorting your expenses into different categories, you can prioritize which expenses that you are invested in with your limited resources and which expenses may be cut if needed to balance the financial plan. Here we list some of your expenses. You have wealth-generating expenses. We need to make sure that we can have a solution for the weak links and log jams and adverse factors that we're running into. That way, we can get a better quality of life by generating wealth. You have inescapable expenses, things that are essential or moral obligations, such as taxes, or maybe your medical insurance. We have maintenance expenses for the farm and for the enterprise, and then all other expenses. Be sure to perform this expense recording for each enterprise. Identify the weak link and brainstorm solutions. Use the testing questions to select a solution. Cost out solutions and record it on the wealth generating worksheet or on the piece of paper that you are using to capture this data. Here are some areas you should look at when you're trying to discover any weak links. You want to convert resources into products and then send them to market, and that will be converted into wealth. The object here is to free up as much money to invest back into the business or to put into savings as you can, and enough money to meet your holistic goals. Under Exercise 5, I'd like you to take a piece of paper and write down the weak link for each of your enterprises and brainstorm associated costs to fix it on your wealth generating worksheet or piece of paper. Now that you have recorded your expenses, what expenses can you cut? Are there cheaper alternatives, and can you live without certain things? Is there a different model of product, or is there a different way to produce something? Hint, identify the top expenses and spend time trying to cut and reduce those first. Now, let's balance your plan. To do this, you need to subtract total expenses from total income plus the profit you are planning to make. Ensure your plan balances or makes a profit. If not, look where you can cut more expenses, use other revenues to offset deficits, or increase income. That could be by selling your product at a higher price. Now, if you're proficient on using an Excel spreadsheet program on Microsoft, enter the planned income, the planned profits for the enterprises, and the planned expenses. See if it is balances and show a profit. Good luck in this endeavor. You have shown the income you want, you have decided on the profit you need, and you have listed all your expenses. So what we're looking at now is we're going to be able to assess your cash flow, cash on hand that you can use to meet your daily needs or those family needs. This truly is a mathematical exercise. You need to keep records of previous year's enterprise income and expenses. Then we plan next year on a monthly balance sheet to identify cash flow issues. Here is an example. Previously, we had you discover your net worth base, the base that you were starting from. Now I need you to assess the ending net worth based upon the plan. Has your financial plan increased your net worth, involved new assets, lessened debt, or increased cash flow on hand? What if there is no increase in the net worth? What then? After this analysis, if you have decided to go forward with this new enterprise and or put money into existing enterprises to increase your profitability, then implement the plan for next year. And we need to monitor within 10 days after each month to see if your new plan is meeting the goals that you have set. You have now completed the financial planning process for these enterprises on your farm. If you have any questions, send me an email at dgholloway6@gmail.com, and I'll do my best to address them. Thank you.